Alex Terrace here. I am a advisor and consultant on many different modalities, and I advise clinics, practitioners on protocols, on what to buy, how to shop for brands, as well as helping everyday people. In this video, I'm going to go into one of my favorite diagnostic tools as part of a stage or step or protocol in narrowing things down and getting to the root causes. And that system is called AOScan, as you can see here on the screen. And I do have, of course, my profile loaded. That's why my name is up here at the top. It's very easy to input people. So this technology goes by many names. There are other technologies out there that fall within the category of bioresonance. And again, it can go by other names as well. I have looked into many of the different softwares and equipment out there, and there's basically non-invasive ways of testing. So in this video, I'm going to show you actually one of the new functions with AOScan, which is through the company Solex, and that is the chemistry, as you can see here on the screen all the way at the bottom. It's the chemistry evaluation that was just added in to the body systems scan. Okay, and one thing I was going to say is that, you know, when I do my research and review of products, things like that, I do that through many different stages and many different angles, and one of them, of course, is real-world results, right? And when you get into the field of kind of energy medicine or that category, you know, sometimes it's hard to come by the science, the research, the proof behind certain modalities and from certain companies. And sometimes they offer plenty, okay? In this area, because a lot of the research was done for this technology and a few others that got a similar database of frequencies out of Russia, it's been a little harder to come by a lot of the research that went into it. There was a lot that was put into it. So I've kind of just gone with evaluating this AOScan and again a few other brand names that the database goes under. I've just done a lot of practitioner follow-up, and this is the mobile version you're looking at. I just have it loaded on my laptop, by the way. And you can also use it on tablet. But I followed up with many practitioners over years, really, with AOScan. And what was I looking to do? Mainly, I would always ask about accuracy in doing the non-invasive scan, which really takes like seconds to minutes, depending on what you're doing, for all kinds of data points in the body, and seeing what their results were based on matching up the reports, which you're about to see in a second, with actual lab testing. Okay, so blood work, things like that, right? And actually other diagnostic testing as well that they may have done or prescribed for, or whatever it is, or other practitioners may have done. So basically following them now over years, with many different types of practitioners, so many different types of specializations, from chiropractors to doctors to, you name it, dentists. I have come to the conclusion that the accuracies are 90 to 99%. And if you want to be more accurate, it's really, really, really simple. Yes, you can dive into a lot of the depth and look at the causal factors and all these things, but I honestly just like to use it this way. Hold on a second, let me deselect here. Let's run my chemistry while we're talking. I don't know if you can hear that sound, by the way, in the background, but let me turn the volume down a little bit here. Okay, well, don't need to do that. Well, I guess we're done. By the way, this scan with the original desktop system used to take a lot longer. One nice thing about the mobile version under Solex is they've honestly shaved off total scan time like 90%. It's been incredible. So it's something taking 45 minutes working with the client, or 30 minutes. It's like 1 minute, 5 minutes. It's incredible. So that's super nice, because it was like that for years, taking quite some time. So anyways, so if you wanted to kind of boost up the accuracy, let's scroll down here. If we were just kind of like looking at this, and there's other vitals, by the way, that kind of go over these as well in different ways. But if we're just looking at this for a second, if you really want to get to that like real high degree of accuracy, all you need to do is just simply run this scan, for example, multiple times. And you saw how easy it was, and you saw that it was non-invasive, right? So you just run it like 3 times, maybe over the course of a week, okay, for a client or a customer or a patient. In some cases, depending on how complex and chronic and mysterious somebody has, I may run multiple types of reports or scans, and I may do that 3 to 4 times over like 2 weeks. Okay, and I might charge accordingly for that, of course. Or obviously, if you're not a practitioner and just using this at home, you should consider that, because you own this and you're paying the $149 a month subscription. Like, you've got time. Take your time. Keep notes. Look for common evaluation. Like, here we go. Sodium. This, by the way, this report is like, this equipment, by the way, is so sensitive that it will absolutely respond to what is happening that day that you might have done differently. So that's the only other thing you got to factor in, is you want yourself or your patient, your client, to try to be consistent. Same time of the day you do a scan. Try to keep the lifestyle choices, like what you're eating mainly, right? Things like that. Very consistent as well. Sometimes I have people stop all their supplements for a week or 2, or sometimes, but I try to have them, eat at the same time of the day, have similar foods, or the same thing, right, when I test. So what I'm pointing out here, for example, is, now I could do this testing report probably, a couple more times this week, and I guarantee you that this sodium eval, that's not going to show up again, because I've run this a bunch. But the reason it showed up more today was because I particularly went out of my way to have more salt. Okay, so like, significantly more than I would normally have. Pretty crazy, right? So that shows up. Sometimes when I start a new supplement, and I'm just like, wow, there it is. This supplement is supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and there it is, affecting specifically those things. Incredible. So there's all kinds of analysis with AOScan where you can also kind of use it multiple ways to test somebody on supplements, or when they should stop taking it, and so on and so forth. Anyways, so yeah, I follow up with many practitioners who've done all kinds of blood work and other panels, and I've even followed up with the practitioners who were initially skeptical. They don't understand the science, because it is a lot, and a lot of practitioners are not deep into biophysics. Some are, and I think generally they're better practitioners when they get into that field as well and integrate it. But if you don't have that background, it is a little hard to grasp how this actually works. So the skeptical practitioners, though, I've seen many of them now over years. They will look at these things and they say, oh my God, this is spot on with the lab panel testing that I just did for my client. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Or, obviously it's different if you're a chiropractor or a dentist or something like that. I just did this assessment, and lo and behold, there it was. The report was absolutely on par with the assessment that I just did. So it doesn't matter if they're skeptical. It doesn't matter if they believe in this. What usually happens is they see it a few times and then they say, you know what? This would be useful. I definitely want this. So this is the new report. That's why I'm kind of making this video. I do have some other videos showing other reports, other scans. It doesn't just, by the way, find values that you want to look into. And there's way, way, way more details than just this. I'm just showing one of the reports. It actually has an optimize function, which basically is a lot to explain. I'm not going to get into on this video, but by the same way, on a biophysics level, that this obtains these values, by that same way, you can also modulate and change. You can also modulate and change the values. In other words, the signals, with the self-regulatory feedback loop that might, for example, monitor platelets. I'm sorry, if you click on this, it'll actually give you a little explanation, which is cool, for those who don't have a big health background. And the other reports also do the same thing, by the way, which I think is great. So you're not on Google obsessively. But basically, this is essentially going to, I lost my train of thought now, but hopefully that people find this helpful. Definitely run the scan multiple times. At a quick glance, though, let's talk about where this is useful. Okay, so this is one of the kind of the vitals reports that you can do. Let's say we're doing the chemistry and it says in range. Now, there are some practitioners out there who might be saying, well, this is definitely obviously useful if this is accurate, and I can do this non-invasively in like less than a minute. I mean, obviously, throwing this in here could help guide me on what lab panels I may want to recommend, for example, right? And different organs or other diagnostic methods I may want to recommend, right? before having my client or myself go spend hundreds of dollars or thousands on further testing, right? So it certainly can save a lot of money and time. That's obvious. However, some practitioners, they're very skilled at what they do, and they want to know exactly where on the range a specific metabolic value is. And I can definitely appreciate that. That's definitely sometimes important, depending on many factors. So will it do that? No, it will not do this. AO scan will not tell you where on that range. However, you can still see how incredibly valuable this is. Helps you narrow and target things very quickly. And before you make big investments on other types of testing, and also just a lot more logistics and time that are involved, you can do this. So imagine you even got, for example, say you spent, $800 on some lab panels, and then you implemented some protocols after a month or two. Do you really think your patient, or do you think you personally want to go do all that lab testing again for $800 60 days later? But wouldn't it be great if it was free and easy to do, right? Who would say no to that, right? Of course. Yeah, I would love to do a lab panel every single month. And obviously, like some of these obsessive biohacking high performance types, they've done that. And when they really want to dial things in, that's great. And they're open and they're totally cool with spending $50,000 to $100,000 a year, right? So you can kind of look at also AO scan, and let me now show you some of the other reports here. Say you want to do like vitals, right? And as you can see, there's a lot of things here. Let's just do a quick scan here. So you can kind of imagine that one thing that what this will do is allow you to dial in your protocols week to week, month to month, in between paying for the higher priced diagnostic methods. So that's kind of like another way you can strategically use this. Now, hopefully you can hear me talking here with the sound. This will be over in 60 seconds. So let's just wait here. By the way, this also used to take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Now it just takes 1 minute. Okay, so let's take a look at the report. This is another nice thing. So, if you're trying to see something that's, hold on, I'm on the enhanced view here. There we go. If you want to kind of assess things on a little bit more of a range in terms of some of these chemistry and vitals, now you can forget we're just going through the foods right now. Let me get to the metabolic panel here. All right, got a lot of foods. Okay, so here we go. Starting with blood. So yeah, there is actually, I wasn't really. I'll correct myself. You can also use this legend or assessment to, once you really get the hang of it, to kind of get more of a sense of where in the range things are, or how acute or how chronic something is, by looking at these specific 1 through 9 values, which again will help you narrow down exactly what lab panels you may want to look at. Or again, just some people don't even use lab panels at all anymore once they get the hang of this, and they just specifically go off the AO scan 100%. So this is a nice one, the vitals, also to cross compare with that chemistry, where you can basically get more specific insights. Something is a little more inflammation based, or so on and so forth. But you can kind of see how thorough this really is. The meridians are also pretty spot on too. I have followed up with some acupuncturists as well, which is always cool. It's always fun to just also have that aspect. I do believe traditional Chinese medicine, as part of a holistic protocol for sure, is sometimes very appropriate and helpful in resolving certain things and bringing balance. So I just kind of wanted to show you this as well, which is synergistic with the chemistry. So again, like I said before, I'd be looking for some of the extreme outliers here, the 1s, the 8s, and then I'd be running the scan a few times and then literally manually making note or copy pasting into a spreadsheet, manually making note of any repeated values that may be a little bit off. By the way, my ghrelin has popped up a little more often because I started a growth hormone releasing peptide before bed, which has interactions, ipamorelin, with ghrelin secretion, which is part of how it induces a greater growth hormone release during sleep. So I just wanted to point that out as a perfect example of how sensitive and accurate this actually is. Okay, and it just so happens that that particular growth hormone releasing peptide is one that is my body's not such a fan of, and also gives me a little bit of a histamine release. But I'm surprised that my histamine isn't showing up here. My body's maybe handling it a little bit better today, but I'm going to keep monitoring this a little more so. But anyways, the way that I'm actually doing the scan is not going to be the most accurate because I'm doing it on my computer for the purposes of the demo of this video, so I can share my screen more clearly. But it comes with transducer headset, which goes over your trigeminal nerve, feeds into your sensory motor cortex part of the brain and vagus system. So that transducer headset is really going to be the most accurate way. So I kind of will take this with a grain of salt a little bit because it's more for demo presentation, which is maybe why my histamine wasn't quite as affected on this one. But anyways, you always want to use the headset if possible. You can absolutely do this remotely on a client, have them use a headset on the other end, and you can still get good accuracies without them doing a headset and doing it remotely. And the best way to do that is what I said before. If you have a real good functional holistic health training, you can obviously just look at everything and see how they're all interconnected, all the different biomarkers. But you can also just rely on doing 3 or 4 tests over 2 weeks and then making a note of any common values and any big outliers and things that are repeated. And that is really a great way. So you generally have to do, in my opinion, a few more additional scans if you're doing it remotely without a transducer headset versus in person with a transducer headset. You just want to throw in an extra couple reports if doing it remotely. But I absolutely, from the beginning, was built, the technology was built around being able to potentially use this remotely, even with a desktop system that was $35,000 plus a monthly fee. The mobile things you're looking at now version, with all the continual upgrades every couple months, is only $149 a month. So it's a little bit of a savings. So it's a crazy savings. So for years and years and years, and it still technically is sold under the desktop system for that much higher amount of money. So it's a really, really, really great value. So again, I'm getting caught up in my report here, but sometimes, and you can always ask me about this, but sometimes when you are first starting a supplement and taking a lot of something, the values will show up. So it's probably 80% accurate, 75 when you're doing it this way on the computer, where I don't have I'm not really doing it properly for the most accuracy. But even still, all my B vitamins here, I just started a new B vitamin supplement, and so I'm not surprised that a lot of these are coming through here. But if you have some more specific questions about how to kind of tease out the accuracies and assessments behind a supplement that you're taking, when you should continue it, when you should discontinue it, and things like that, you can always send me a message. And my link to join the company or do a 3-day trial, which is always an option, so you can experience this yourself with your own device of choosing, just follow that link below in the description of the video, and that will be there for you to sign up or, again, do the demo. And the company does have a lot of other interesting technologies as well, but AOScan here is one of them. So again, I'm always around for questions. Don't hesitate. I'm also going to put my email address below in the description, but reach out, and thanks for watching. Appreciate you.